This week on Focus on Photography, we're going to dive deep into all of the news around Adobe Max, and we're going to have a little bit of film talk for all of you folks out there loving film. Again, hop on in and join us. Focus on Photography.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Focus on Photography, recorded October 30th, 2019 for November 7th, 2019. High on film. Hey folks, what is going on? I am Aunt Pruitt. This is Mr. Michael Woolsey, also known as Michael Woolsey.
There you go.
And this is Focus on Photography here on twit.tv. Hope you all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. We're coming to you after a pretty fascinating week in the world of photography. We're going to get into all of that stuff shortly, but I just wanted to say hello and give yet one more shout out to the folks in the Northern California area as we continue to deal with potential wildfire issues. So shout out to all of our service folks up there trying to fight it and keep everyone safe. We really do appreciate that support. But we're back here after a busy week in the news, if you will. And I'm pretty excited to be here today. But first and foremost, Mr. Michael Woolsey.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
Breathing in this moment.
Breathing it all in. It's good to see. It's good to see you. You've had a busy week?
I have, yes.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're pretty good at what you do, you're always going to be busy, right? Isn't it how that goes?
I think that's the goal, yes. To be busy. I did a headshot this morning for CFO, which was nice, and kind of did that in the studio, and he made it very easy. It's nice when people make it easy.
See, headshots, man, again, people don't quite get the power behind a headshot if you're trying to, number one, grow your brand, increase your brand identity, and just give yourself a nice, beautiful online profile of yourself, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Oh, right.
You know, take advantage of the local photographers and get yourself a quality headshot. Don't go out there and just do a selfie, people. Get yourself a quality headshot.
I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to tell
Come
people
and visit
this,
us, please.
Especially, you know, I think we mentioned it back on our very first episode that like in January, you know, everybody has those New Year's resolutions about going to the gym and I'm going to eat better. Get yourself a headshot. Just do that. And I bet your year is going to go way better because you're setting the tone, if you will.
I think so, and they bring in something quite nice, and people could play and have fun, and not, you know, it doesn't need to be stiff.
No, exactly. See, he gets it. He gets it. This is why I love Wolves.
No, you get it.
All right, so on this here podcast here on twit.tv, we like to take a look at the existing current news and rumors around the world of photography. We'll do a little gear talk here and there, but not too often. And then we will just share a little bit of our own insight as being photographers that are out here working and creating content to help pay the bills, and just because it's a different perspective versus what you see on the Instagrams and things like that. A lot of people just think it's just you picking up a camera and hitting the shutter one time and boom, you're done. You're a photographer. No, there's more than that. So we'll talk about stuff like that from time to time, but we're just going to have some fun with it and just, you know, be conversational with it on this here beautiful audio podcast. Sounds good.
It sounds perfect.
So let's go ahead and hop into this week's news. This is the week of Adobe Max. Are you an Adobe fan?
I am a huge Adobe fan.
Because as I know, you not only do photography, but you also do some video. So I'm assuming you spend a lot of time with whether it's Premiere or Final Cut, but more than likely
Premiere Pro, for sure. Yes.
Okay. Well,
in Lightroom and Photoshop.
See, I'm the same way. I've gotten a lot of grief about being a Adobe fanboy. Adobe's not perfect, I'll admit that, but for what I do with my workflow in the past, they've just worked for me.
Absolutely.
You know, especially with everything being so tightly integrated. If I'm in Premiere working on a video and I need to grab a thumbnail real quick, I can grab a thumbnail real quick, hop on over to Photoshop with with a right click, do it up. If the audio does not sound right in my video, I can right click, hop right on over into Adobe Audition and fix it right there, and it pops right back. I mean, it's everything is just
a lot more than I do.
It's just so tightly integrated. And they do a really good job with that, with keeping you within that same workspace and not bouncing around all over the place and closing this. And it's just so much simpler that way. But yeah, this week is their big developer and sharing and new products conference, Adobe Max. This is my third time, I think I've been there, third or fourth time. And I absolutely love it. Not only because they get on stage and they show you what they've been working on for the previous year, over the past year, but they also try to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming down the road.
Ooh, okay.
And then there's the whole aspect of different sessions that are held there. You'll have, well, he's not there now, but like Scott Kelby will be there to show you tips in Lightroom. Whether you're a beginner or whether you're a seasoned veteran, and they'll go through different tips in that. They'll go through the new features inside of it, and it's just all day long, just a beautiful environment of creators that are not only doing photography, but they're doing design. You got people in Illustrator and InDesign.
Oh, gosh, that sounds amazing.
It's outstanding. I love it.
Well, just pack me up. I'll go.
Okay, we'll fix that up for next go around. But this week they announced a couple different things. It wasn't a lot of photography heavy stuff this time. They're dealing a lot more with AR and VR and developing tools for people to make whatever it is in AR and VR. It sounded like they're trying to get people ready for designing video games, and it didn't really jive with me.
Okay.
But they've doubled down on it because about, I want to say 2 years ago, they made it known that they're going to start putting energy into AR. Do you have any thoughts on AR as a photographer?
I don't, unfortunately. Yes.
It's cool to look at.
For those who don't know, what is AR?
Okay, AR is augmented reality versus virtual reality. Okay, so with virtual reality, you have to have some sort of viewer on. That's when people wear the goggles, whether you have that Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, but you wear goggles. Google and Samsung had mobile devices that you could put your phone in and put it on. But it gives you a virtual view of whatever scene you're trying to set up.
Okay.
AR, on the other hand, it allows you to look at everyday life. Like we're sitting at this table, and if I was to hold my phone up, I'd look at my phone screen and it would show the table, but it also show maybe like a little puppy sitting there.
That's interesting.
And you can interact with the puppy. People on the other side of the table don't see it, but I see it. So you see a lot of video games out there, like Pokemon Go is a game that's on people's phones, and you'll see people walking around Petaluma holding their phones up.
Oh, okay.
And that's using AR.
Okay, got it. Okay.
You looking at it from up the street, and you're like, what are these people doing?
Yeah, exactly right. Oak Hill Park, they're
right, and they're all just sort of wandering around. But what they're doing is they're wandering around and looking at their screen because it's projecting an augmented reality image.
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool stuff. I don't have much of an interest in it, but last year, Adobe partnered up with Adidas or Adidas, depending on what side of the planet you're from. They partnered up with them to do demos with sneakers. And so if someone walked in with their phone, they used a tablet on the stage. But if someone walked into a shoe store with their phone, as they walked up to the shoe and hold their phone up, an app would just basically give them a full breakdown of the sneakers that they're looking at. Gives them the pricing, the sizing, and the fitting, and so forth. But it will break out how the sole is constructed. Because if you're dealing with someone that runs,
right,
runners don't just go in and grab shoes off the shelf.
No, they feel it. They look at it.
They are really particular.
Exactly right. Yes.
So they wanted to take advantage of stuff like that using AR. Again, it's not for me, but I get the business sense on that.
Right.
And looking on your face, you're
it's
like,
where the future is going.
Yeah, have at it. But
yeah, it's just too technical. I'm very, very safe where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I get it. But that was a lot of the news this week. Is just more doubling down on AR. They've also made some updates to performance for Lightroom.
Okay.
Photoshop to try to speed some things up, and a couple other things here. I had a document here.
Yeah, I love the interaction between Lightroom and Photoshop, where you could just go
it's
and
just
work
a
on
click.
it. It's amazing. I have to say that. And also, what's been really interesting for me is I've been a user for a very long time.
Right.
So that the logic actually, it's you just kind of grow with the logic.
Right.
And
so it's
therefore,
almost second nature
exactly
for you.
Right.
For
so like Premiere Pro. Logic is almost the same. It's not almost the same.
Yeah, a lot of their keyboard shortcuts is it can sort of move between app and app. I do notice that, and it just again it makes your workflow a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient.
And it takes out the learning curve too. And many times.
Yeah, but yeah, they just wanted to talk about. Let's see how they put it. Updating the Creative Cloud desktop app to make it perform better because it was a hog and slowed down your computer. And they also integrated some tools with Microsoft Teams and Slack and IBM iX. I'm not sure what that is, where you can share creative files a little bit better between Microsoft's cloud files. What is it called? OneNote, OneDrive, something like that.
Yeah.
Something in the enterprise level, but they're trying to allow creators to be able to work better with enterprise people, corporate people.
That makes sense.
So I get that. Now, the biggest thing on the photography front was Photoshop on an iPad.
Oh, I saw that.
So
it's going to be interesting.
I'm mixed on it myself. Now, let's just take Photoshop out of the picture. What is your workflow from a mobile standpoint? Do you spend any time with it?
So what I do is have like a couple programs I use on the iPhone, which is called Snapseed.
Snapseed, yep.
Love Snapseed.
That's like a seasoned veteran app. I mean, it's been around forever. And it's been getting better and better with each update.
And it's just wonderful. And it's simple to use. It's you photograph with your iPhone, pull it into Snapseed, and it's, I got to tell you, it's actually really quite cool.
Yep, Snapseed. You use any others?
Just that one for right now. I'm a person who is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it kind of thing. So it's not broken.
You don't use Lightroom Mobile?
I have not. I know. Gosh darn it.
You're already
after today. I know. After today, I will actually. Right now, I will.
Man, see now they offer Lightroom Mobile for free for people that aren't subscribed, but they'll lose out on some of the features in there. But if you're a subscriber, being able to go in and do like healing on your phone, and cloning on your phone.
All right.
Yes,
I got it. Okay,
all right. Adobe, send me my check.
God. Man, I messed up, didn't I?
No, but I was just curious because some people are really heavy in mobile editing workflow. I'm not really heavy in it. I'd rather sit at my workstation and go through and pull out my Wacom tablet and really dive in. I do like the big
screen. Yeah, I have the two screens going, and so it's nice to have.
Especially when dealing with portraits and things and headshots, you really want to see all of that detail. So that's just me, but I know people that they love and live by having Lightroom Mobile on their iPad, something like that.
Yeah.
So now you're getting Photoshop on an iPad. And when I think about Photoshop, I'm thinking about all of my keyboard shortcuts.
Okay. I can see that.
And I'm not thinking about tapping to hit the brush or tapping to hit the crop. I'm thinking I'm hitting C. And I'm just flowing.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to work.
I would imagine if you're traveling.
Right.
And that you're away and that you needed to do something real quick.
Right.
It's probably going to be very, very useful. You don't want to take out your laptop or perhaps that you don't have your big computer available. That it would be pretty convenient, especially if you're in an airport and you need to do something real quick before you get on the plane.
Okay. So now I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
If you need to do something really quick, why not just use Snapseed or Lightroom?
Well, like you said, it has probably more tools, and it's probably going to be more conducive to your workflow. And so I would imagine that it would be, quite useful. And I think we're talking about logic. That would probably be very logical to use it.
Yeah. Now, the fallback on this, though, is they don't have any raw support for it. So if you have a raw file.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, boy, folks, if you could have seen his face just now.
That's going to be pretty harsh.
The long face of like, wait a minute, no raw and it's Photoshop? Yeah, they don't have that yet.
Interesting. I wonder how be able to hold information too if it's only going to be JPEG. Because every time you use JPEG, like you save it to JPEG and on, and
it
loses
it continues
information.
to degrade.
Right.
You know, so I saw that in the little presser, and it's like, really? I know you guys have been working on this for a year or so, and why not try to make that a priority? Because people are going into Photoshop with RAW.
Right.
You know, for a reason.
Well, the thing is, though, you still have your raw information on your cards. So it's not, you're going to, if let's say if you're just using it immediately, then it'd be perfect.
Yep.
Like if you're in the airport, you still have your raw information on your cards.
Yeah. For when you get back to your workstation,
right,
if you will.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. But I thought it was fascinating because, again, you have the iPad, it's all touch interface. But I wonder about people that have keyboards on their iPads.
See?
Maybe there's something built in there. I don't know. I'll find out once I'm able to get it installed on mine, and we'll go from there. But a lot of people were pretty stoked about that last year when it was rumored, and people were pretty stoked now, other than the lack of RAW file support. All right, so one more thing on the Adobe side. And this is getting back to Photoshop, but on the actual desktop. They're using their new, well, it's not new, but they use their existing artificial intelligence called Adobe Sensei to give you a little bit of a faster workflow to do repetitive tasks. And they've been working on this for the last couple of years in various menus and various different apps. Last year, they had what they would call select subject. You know, so you'd open up an image in Photoshop, say it's just, just a portrait, and you just want to do a selection around the person there and take them away from the background. Ideally, you would grab your pen tool or your selection tool and make sure you get all of the hair and things of that nature. Select subject allowed you to do that in one click of a button.
For real?
Yes. You'd click it one time and the AI would think about it and analyze the screen, and then it would select it. And it did pretty good.
Wow. And then you could go back in.
And if you need to do a refine edge, you can go and refine it. But it did most of the heavy lifting for you within a few seconds.
That takes about 10 minutes off.
Right. Exactly. You know, so now they have select objects instead of select subject. Well, in addition to a select subject. So if you have, all right, let's look at our table here. We took a picture of this table, and it's got these mugs, a mouse, and a laptop. And we want to separate the laptop from everything. So we're just going to select these other three items. We can go in and just grab the new select object tool and draw a circle around the three of the tools that we want, and then just hit the button, and it automatically does a perfect selection.
Do you have this now?
Yes, this is rolling out now.
Oh, jeez.
So it's as of the new Adobe Max, it's rolling out now. And again, this is all just a way of speeding some things up. Originally, I didn't buy into AI a couple of years ago, as far as creativity, because I'm thinking there's no way an AI is going to know what I see. They're not going to know my vision or what I felt when I clicked that shutter. You know, how do you feel about AI? You ever thought about artificial intelligence sneaking into your arts, you know?
Well, if it, for instance, if you're doing product shots or if you're doing wine bottles per se, I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, this could be really good for, I say, wine bottle shots or whatever. But I definitely bring that in. Most certainly.
Well, I mean, it speeds some things up. You know, when I started seeing the tools that they implemented, I bought in. I ended up writing an article a year or so ago when I used to write for Tech Republic, just explaining how they proved me wrong, because I put it into my workflow and it just absolutely crushed whatever I threw at it. Even if it's video, they have tools inside of their video,
right,
that can work. There's a tool out there called now I forget the name of it, but it's color match. That's what it is.
Okay.
Color match. So you're a videographer. You've been on the set and had multiple cameras. There's that one time somebody's camera isn't quite set
right
to the same, color temperature or what have you. And you pull it into Premiere, you got two different tracks there, and you're looking at it and say, crap, I don't really want to go through this other track and adjust exposure, adjust the white balance, and, just trying to get it to match up perfectly. Well, Adobe allows you to pull both of those up on the screen and say, hey, this is my reference monitor.
Right.
This is how I want it to look. I need you to make that other one look like that. And then a click of a button, boom.
Yeah, it's done so much good work in that direction. And also with audio, where you can match up audio, which is just phenomenal.
I love that. So I was a little like, I keep AI out of my creativity.
You got to take it where you can get it.
Yeah, but that right there is saving me time and allowing me to be able to get out and do more jobs, and get more cash and pay more bills. That's how I.
Or creatively, I think it allows you to kind of focus more on some other areas and where you don't want to take the time for matching up things.
Right. But yeah, that's the latest with the folks at Adobe. They're continuing to push AI in their Adobe Max. They're continuing to push community in Adobe Max, and just another good show. I'm glad I was able to attend, and hopefully I'll be there next year.
If it ain't broken, fix it until it is.
I love our chat.
I know, right? That's awesome.
Eric Duttman, you win
Very
for
good.
the day, my man. All right, so that is it for Adobe news and stuff. But today I wanted to get your feedback and talk to you about traveling, because being on assignment like I am with this Adobe Max and traveling to LA to cover it, it takes a certain workflow. It takes a certain state of mind, in my opinion, to get yourself geared up and get yourself to the site and get yourself back home to be able to get the products out in time and things like that. What is it like for you? Do you have a particular checklist, if you will, with regarding travel and travel projects? Not necessarily just traveling for leisure, but you need to go to Spain to go shoot the running of the bulls. What is your brain?
So much fun,
right? So what is Wool's thought process where National Geographic says, "Hey, Wools, we need you to come to Spain for the running of the bulls, and we need 3 types of shots. We need a personal perspectives of the ceremony. We need the bulls, and we need just a wide." So what is your thought process when you get that assignment?
Right. So there's like a prep day.
Yeah,
it's a full day prep day. I would imagine if you're going international, that you would have a day and a half prep or 2-day prep
minimum.
Right, and that you would really go over your equipment that you have, especially if you're working with like the 3 subjects you're talking about. What equipment do I have to do? Portraits. What equipment do I have to do to run with a bull, or I follow whatever? And what was your third one?
We want something just wide. We want something that we can just put up on a billboard.
Yeah. So you have to look at your hard drives. How many hard drives you have? 2 perhaps, and so you have one that work goes onto, and then you have one that's backup. You look at your cards. How many cards? Are they brand new? How old are they?
How old are these cards? Yep.
You look at your gimbals. Make sure you have the right equipment or right gimbals for following the subject, especially if you're running with the bulls. I did a shoot. It wasn't international. Just a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, to Pennsylvania.
See, that's travel.
And
the other side of the dadgum country.
And really needed to look at the equipment that I have, and especially what you're talking about. If we're doing social media, what kind of equipment do you need for that? It's just the same thing as video. I had to do both stills and video. Really interesting work.
Right.
So I needed a really solid gimbal for the video, and then basically tripods for the stills and/or what kind of handheld equipment do I have.
Right.
And I needed tripods. I needed various things in order to be successful with this type of trip.
Okay, let's stop you right there. Tripods. Are you talking travel tripods, or are you talking the beefy, sturdy?
Actually, I had one beefy, and then one. I had a. I'm
the travel one.
Yes,
yeah.
But it's a shotgun. So it's like a kind of a, and then the single.
Monopod.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, that was blip. Anyways, so I had 3 tripods,
right,
and it was very good that I had the 3 because each one of them were used
different purposes,
right?
Yeah.
And but a lot of times I was handheld, and so it was very
nice.
But also I had to have 2 sets of cards,
right?
One for video and one for stills. And so I had 2 cases, and you need to have 2 days of putting together your equipment, especially when you're going through the airport.
Yeah, yep. Now, in your experience, at least for me, when I've gotten to the location and gotten the shots done or what have you, like the last thing I shot a charity event for one of the NBA guys in Charlotte.
Okay.
And so Charlotte was my home, so I didn't have far to go. But at the same time, there were some instances where they wanted shots for their marketing people right then.
Oh, yes.
But then they also wanted those shots for when I went back to my desk to get ready for 2 or 3 days later kind of thing.
Right.
For them to do hey, this is what we did this weekend at the so-and-so event. So what is your workflow, or how do you communicate with that from a travel standpoint? Because you just said you come from California to Pennsylvania. Do you have to deal with situations like that where you're saying, okay, so right now I'm putting this up on social media within an hour of it being shot versus, or is it just strictly 2 days later or what have you? Or is it mix, or what's it
right?
Like for
it is
you?
mixed, actually. So let's talk about Pennsylvania since we on that subject. I had to. There was an IT person there,
okay,
and so the IT person took my cards and basically downloaded it. I took my hard drives back and went through a scrub, kind of basically took out the images that you don't want people to see, or
of course,
warm up shots or whatever.
That always happens, folks.
Right.
I don't care how good you are.
Right. But then, and then selected the ones in which I needed to send off to the client. Did some, so that was one. So I sent that off, and then I went back and did a round of edits, so color correction, and various other elements. And then sent that off. So it was a 3-stage type of thing. It was fun though. It's actually I don't mind that at all. Matter of fact, I do like the fact that they allow me to actually make the adjustments so that they could actually
and so
see the select side.
So their IT guy was right there on the spot. You didn't necessarily have to do like I've been in situations where we had to do what they call FTP, or an upload to like Dropbox or something, and 9 times out of 10, you're in a hotel, and 9 times out of 10, you're on crappy hotel internet. So uploading those images took forever, and that's just screwing up more shooting time.
Yeah,
you ever had to deal with that?
I haven't had to do that.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, no. No, it's actually, I think it's, especially if you're away, it's, you just don't have that time. There might be some times, but I just haven't had to do that.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I had to sort of build that amount of time into my head because I've been burned so many times.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'll run back to the room, get this uploaded now at such and such time, and then I'll be able to go back and do this shoot at such and such time. And that second shoot never happens.
And I'm so glad that they don't ask me to do it, because I swear to God, I shoot too much.
Right.
So I'll come back and my cards are full. It's maybe 5,000 images in a day.
But see, that's normal to me.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of images, but that seems like it's pretty par for the course.
One of them's going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding. A few will make it, but not 5,000.
No, not 5,000, but that is a part of the process. You get a lot of people in that snobby photographers community. They love to talk about you shouldn't spray and pray when you're out there doing a shoot. And
spray and pray.
Yeah, basically just getting into burst mode, high-speed burst, and just...
okay.
Well, if you're a sports photographer, you're going to shoot those 10 frames a second, and only one of those frames is going to work, but you need to get those 10 just in case.
Right.
You know, so...
Yeah, and actually,
that's why I was like, that 5,000, that sounds fairly normal to me.
I don't have it on I don't have a continuous shoot. I have just a single shot, and I do shoot a lot still, and and I find that you just never know. Like we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
that that there might be a movement to one side to the other, in which it all of a sudden becomes that one shot, that one
the money shot, yeah.
And so it's, and even with film, I shot a lot.
Right.
I went through rolls and rolls and rolls, and I didn't mind. I just wanted that one shot.
Yeah.
Or whatever shots that you needed. And so
I still salute you. You film guys, and there's still people out there shooting film. I salute you. I'm just not brave enough, I guess.
Oh man, we got to do it.
I love the as weird as this sounds, I love the comfort of digital, and I love the economy of digital.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. It does get expensive.
Because film, you get that one shot, and you got to pay the development. You got to pay to reload, get more film, and my SD cards, I can just dump them and get right back to shooting again with the same card.
I got to tell you though, when you're working film, there's something really beautiful about it. There's something quite unique, especially when it's coming up on through the bath.
The chemicals.
Yeah. Oh, it just even to this day, when I go into a dark room and you can smell the smells. Oh God, it's just heaven.
Gosh, yeah, he's going to his happy place.
It is a happy place. It's a Zen place. I'm telling you, it is. I can't tell you.
I love that. I mean, I will try it one of these days. But it's one of those things where I'm going to go in just knowing you're going to screw it up. You're going to screw it up. So just go ahead and just take the money out of your wallet and just go ahead and just throw it on the ground right now, because you're going to screw it up and you're going to waste film. That's the approach that I have right now, thinking whenever I actually give it a try. But right now, I'm not ready to throw that money out of my wallet just yet,
Yeah.
I mean, is there some truth in that? When you get started with film, you're going to screw up a lot of rolls when you start out.
You might though, but so I think for me is that where I developed the film and print, that there's a community of people around you,
right,
who are there at the same time.
Okay,
and it's a fun. It could be a fun social,
right,
and also where people could come and look at your work, and there's immediate feedback in that way, or it's a. I don't want to say it's a lost art, but it could certainly go that direction, because it is very different than digital.
Yeah.
And to hold paper and to kind of see it come up and dodge and burn and the different papers that you're using,
right?
The warm tone, sepia tone, or whatever. It's got a great vibe to it. And
it's a process. It's a real deal process. And I do respect that, being a former IT guy. We IT folks are very binary. It's either on or it's off, period. There's no middle ground. And so when we go about doing things, an IT person is very methodical.
Right.
When a computer breaks down, that computer is very binary. There's no gray area about it. So we approach a lot of tasks thinking black and white. So we dig a process. So the process of developing film, I would probably love it because you there's a way to do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Maybe I can mix a little this here and there, but there's still step 1, step 2, step 3 that better get done. Am I right on that?
You are. So you look at some of the great photographers that we love, Ansel Adams, Imogen Cunningham.
Right.
I spoke about Keith Carter, these other various individuals, and you look at their work. There's a certain kind of tonality. It's deep. It's silver, a lot of silver, and so you have that silver content. And so there's a unique quality.
Right.
And yes, you have to go through the procedure in order to get that quality. You certainly have to study the paper. You certainly have to work with dodging and whatever.
Right.
If you want to do selenium toning or sepia toning, you gotta kind of work with that as well. And it's, but you go to like a really good some of the exhibitions that have been going around, and you take a strong look at the work, and you start seeing that there's something pretty masterful about those works. Not saying it's you can't get that in digital,
right?
But
it's a different flow in digital. It's a whole different flow. I mean, for me, when I'm doing my post-processing, my flow is I grab a glass, I grab a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, nice.
I grab some headphones, and then I get into the zone, and it's just keyboard shortcuts. But that's not the same as actually getting into the dark room, getting the lights the way it needs to be, that smell,
right?
It's not the same feel to it. So
yeah, I'm not.
It's a little more sterile.
And to be honest, I'm not dissing digital. I think.
Oh no,
digital has come a long ways.
Yeah.
I mean, from way back when. Now I like to look at my work as almost cinematic.
Yep.
And so I like the cinematic tone.
I think that's the goal. I see that a lot nowadays of people are aiming for not necessarily the teal and orange look, but they're wanting more stories now.
Right.
The way a cinema does. There's no movie out there that just doesn't tell a story.
Right. Yeah. And you could absolutely have an image that really has a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and ends. And if you could complete that in one image, then I
that's
think
the challenge.
Yeah.
That is the challenge. Well,
it's kind of foreground, middle ground, background.
Yeah. One of these days I'll be as good as Woolsey.
No, that's not true. You're already there.
One of these days.
Fake it until you make it, brother.
Right. That's part of the process. This is Focus on Photography here on twit.tv. Just a couple guys sitting around some mics here chatting about the latest and greatest photography related news and rumors and just real world photography stuff. And having a good time doing it. I'm Ant Pruitt. He is Mr. Michael Woolsey, my co-host that you shall see each and every week on the network. So now, before we get out of here, I want to get into a little bit of listener feedback. And Wools, when I went through developing this and trying to get this thing started and was able to talk to you, I remember our conversation. I won't go into all the details on air because you don't need to know that, chat room. I won't go into all the details, but I remember there was a little bit of concern and, and a little bit of trepidation of just how's this going to go? How's this going to work? And I was like, nah, dude, he's going to kill it. He's going to crush it. And I was right. People love you, man.
Oh,
people love you. The listener feedback has been outstanding for Focus on Photography. My tweets still blow up.
Sweet.
Instagram still blows up. Our Twit community, the online forum, which is twit.community in your browser. Go on over there and check that out. People are talking about it there. So they love you, dude. So you should.
Well, you make it so easy.
You should be good to go, right?
No. We're click and clack of the car guys. What do you call it?
Click and clack.
What is it?
Click it. I think that was it. Click and collect. Come on, man. No. I do not make this look easy. You making it easy for me, and I am really, really glad and happy to have you here on the team, and just I'm looking forward to more and more of these episodes.
Sweet.
Real freaking talk. I am. Is there anything that you would like to part with? Give as far as a parting shot with our listeners today. Last time, we talked about like what was the one tip. So let's see. How would I like to do this today? Let's say, what is your favorite photographic technique? Whether it's black and white, whether it's street, whether it's say chiaroscuro, whether it's high key, low key. So what is your favorite?
Well, I think what I fall back to is actually depth of field.
All right.
So I look at depth of field as if you hold up your hand and you can see your hand and everything else around it is soft focus, right?
Yep.
So I look at depth of field. So if I'm looking at landscape, you see everything. So you have it so that you can see everything.
Right.
There's no depth of field. But when you're doing a portrait, you kind of look at you set it like 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 2.8, whatever, so that you have a softer focus around you.
Yep.
But the face, the eyes are the things that are the item that's in focus.
Okay.
So I think having fun with depth of field is a great thing to kind of explore, and I don't know, and have fun with that.
Depth of field.
Yeah,
Depth of field.
I think, right?
No, I there's no wrong answer.
Hey, I looked at your image today. Actually, the person in the back, on your Instagram.
Oh yeah, that was from downtown San Francisco.
Yeah, and you kind of had like a nice depth of field. Kind of a short depth of field. It's beautiful. And,
I love that lens. So
what lens is that?
It's the 85-1.8,
what?
I believe.
Yeah.
And I love that compression you get in the background. In that particular area where we were in downtown San Francisco is just beautiful. It's near Moscone Center and all of that. So it's
the
just
lights.
Beautiful. And so I'm sitting there just thinking, there's no way I'm leaving here without a photograph.
Shot, right. You got to get a shot
of something. And so I stayed out there about an hour or so, just sort of sitting on the corner and just watching people walk by and watching people just be regular people. And that shot presented itself, and I pulled it, and I was happy with it. So
yeah, you should have been. Yeah, it was great. Kind of was moody and nice. It kind of made, like we were saying, like
right.
Tells a story.
Trying to tell the story, But yeah, I had fun with that. So yeah, listeners, you can see that on Instagram. That's ant_Pruitt. Speaking of Instagram, where do we find you? What's your handle? Hey Wools. Hey Wools is his Instagram.
WOOLS.
So give him a follow over there. We are going to go ahead and head on up out of here for this week, folks. Thank you all for the continued support of Focus on Photography here on twit.tv. Again, follow my man, Mr. Michael Wools.
Somebody's saying, do you have a favorite camera?
I'm still wanting to say Wools. His last name is Woolsey, but I'm going to call him Wools. We've agreed on that. It's not being rude.
Yes, it's perfectly fine.
I'm not being rude, folks.
No, it's perfect.
But follow him. He's on Instagram at Hey Wools, and give me a follow at ant_Pruitt. And while you're at it, look up Twit on Instagram. You'll see a lot of behind the scenes stuff. That's twit.tv on Instagram. And our social media folks have a lot of fun shoving the camera in our face, catching us at interesting times.
It works.
It's a lot of fun here at the studio. Thank you again to all of our production team, Mr. John A., Mr. John S., doing what they do, helping us look and sound outstanding in the studio. Thank you again for all of your support, folks. Catch us each and every week, Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific. I think that's 2 p.m. Eastern, something like that. Either way, it's 9 a.m. Pacific. So catch us every Thursday here on the network. And be sure you hit follow and subscribe on the network, and check out all of our other shows here. And hop on over to twit.community and join our online forums. We have a lot of fun in there, and we have a lot of different interesting chats and discussions. And it's not always about cameras and gear. Sometimes we just sort of laugh at one another, especially when there's people like me that have a Southern drawl and a bunch of interesting colloquial sayings. So hop on over there. Thank you all again. We'll catch you guys on the next time. Get out there and create and dominate. See ya.